Bujun dinoy makanaduk Gatabikwe Indigenous Kaz Minawa Diana Standing Cloud Jaganashi Mawaning Baganagijak Wapamakwe Indigo Magizendu Dam Misquagami Wizag Gining and Dunjua Kabikong and Danungum Minawa Indaya Nijo Ninajanasug Ojawash Bobanes in Ejanakazod Au Inguisis Minawa Wabanesik Ejanakazod Au Danis. So Buju, my relatives, it is an honor and it is a pleasure to be able to communicate with you today, the Conference for Hope and Change. My name is Deanna Standing-Cloud and I greeted you in my native tongue of Ojibwe Anishinaabe. I'm a citizen of the Red Lake Nation of Anishinaabe people. We're a sovereign nation in northern Minnesota, and I'm also a descendant of the Lakota people who are Plains Indians, and the Ojibwe are more woodlands. So I'm so happy that I'm able to make this connection. Buju, I consider you my relatives from Turtle Island. I'm transmitting from Turtle Island. My people refer to the landmass known as North America as Turtle Island, so that's what we know our home to be called. So it's great to be here. I'm a very happy person, but I do understand, and I have experienced a lot of the mental illnesses that are epidemic proportions in, we call it Indian country. It's a contemporary term. So I'm just gonna get right into a little bit about my organization, and then I'll talk about we don't nearly have enough time to go over a lot of the mental illness stuff and the epidemics that are happening with our communities, but I'll try to hit on as much as possible with the limited amount of time that we have. So I'm the Program and Community Network Director with Tiwahe Foundation. And what Tiwahe Foundation is, it started off as a deficit-based approach where we're like, okay, Indian, we can call ourselves Indians. Natives are struggling and having all these social issues, so let's give them some money to try to pull themselves out of that. And that's where a need was 20 years ago when Tiwahe, when the concept began. We now have emerged or evolved 20 years later as a community foundation, and we provide grants with more of an asset-based approach. So there are a lot of Native people who are doing amazing things, and Tiwahe Foundation is actually an interesting, unique place for us to recognize those leadership qualities and to uplift our people so that they can empower themselves. So I consider myself to be an emerging leader. I've been working really pretty consistent with my American Indian community for probably the last 10 to 12 years. I grew up in this community, however, but I spent a lot of my childhood kind of not really as engaged in my community as I am now. And I feel like it's because of the connection that I have to education, and because I've done a lot of my own healing as a Native woman. So it's hard for me to separate issues and not talk about my own experience. But nearly 20% of Native American people in this country, in America, commit suicide. And I never really knew why people did that. I experienced suicide in my family at the age of 8, and I didn't understand what was really happening. But when I was able to make it to college, and not everybody makes it to college as a Native person, I started to learn about the true history of America, and at the expense of American Indian people. I started learning about historical trauma. I started learning about intergenerational trauma, and the genocide, and the fact that the genocide in the Americas is probably one of the biggest untalked about genocides on the planet. And things like poverty, drug addiction, sexual abuse, physical abuse, gang activity, being uneducated are direct symptoms to the intergenerational trauma that took place throughout the legacy of the colonization. So our history doesn't start with 1492 when Columbus got here. But in a nutshell, the conquering of America, Native people were supposed to be exterminated a long time ago. And the government systematically put systems in place so that Native people would not be here anymore. But there's close to 4 million Native American people here in America. But we're the lowest number, but we're the highest in things that are bad, right? So heart disease, poverty, dropout rates, things like that, and including suicide. And it is directly linked to the disconnection from our people and their culture and their language. Because when you are given culture and language, you're also given a paradigm to see the world through a different lens. And just the little bit I know about my indigenous language made the world look new. Everything looked more alive when I started learning my language. Like I was being reborn, like I was a baby, and I was seeing things through that lens. So when you get a little bit and reclaim a little bit of your language, and you reclaim a little bit of your culture, it tremendously makes a huge impact in your life, and it's miraculous. So, a lot of our people aren't connected to their language, aren't connected to culture, even on the reservation. So because of that, they have no value or worth. And what easier thing to do than to just not be here anymore. So we can have a long conversation about this at some point, but it's just really directly linked to the colonization and to the invasion of America. Suicide and mental illness. There's so much mental illnesses in my own family, and I'm almost 40 years old myself, and I'm just now coming to a place where I can feel a little bit of joy, and I'm blessed to say that. And it's taken a long time, and my childhood wasn't good as, but it also wasn't the most horrible, and there are more people in our community who are dealing with experiencing childhood traumas beyond anybody's imagination right now. So we have a epidemic of opioid addiction, and that is also linked to disconnection from culture and disconnection from oneself. And the healthcare system in America does not, it stigmatizes a lot of these things, and there's a lot of homelessness, and so it's just all kind of interconnected. But one of the things that I'm doing in my own healing journey is becoming a practitioner of cultural lifeways. And one of those things, I've just connected with a relative who is a Lakota, and it's, to the Western world, it would be called equine therapy, but she calls it horse transformation medicine. And in our culture, we consider all animals as our ancestors, and we consider plants as our relatives, and we consider them to be gifts from the Creator, including a horse. Now, horse, in the Lakota language, you would call him, or the horse nation, Shunkawakan, which is a sacred dog. That's how it translates. But it really describes a being that comes from the thunders and the energy that brings lightning and thunder. And a horse will take a lot of the traumas away from you when you interact with them. And I participated in a horse transformation workshop with Janice Badmoxon, who's from the Crow Creek Nation of Lakota people. And it is amazing how these horses are medicine, and they are one of the pathways back to bringing our people out of the darkness and out of a place where they do feel suicidal. We feel that they bring another dimension of the spirit world to us, and then they can be a channel to bring that energy into our lives. So interacting with horses, and we regard horses as a tremendous gift from the Creator, and it represents all 7 directions. West, south, east, north, sky, earth, and then the 7th direction is you. So when you're connected to your horse, you are connecting with all 7 directions. So I would also just want to express to you that we consider you as relatives. We consider your people as relatives in Ireland, and I need to learn more about the history, and I know it's very similar to our Indigenous people here. So this is a message of solidarity. This is a message that, you know what, and I think that in this time we need to do things like this for one another. We need to connect on that spiritual level as Indigenous people to one another. So this is a message of solidarity to you today. Every single one of you who are there at the conference for hope and change, I'm there with you in spirit. And this is a message that we understand what you've been through, and we feel that we want to make relatives, so we consider you our family. Finally, I want to officially declare a commitment to working together. We have a horse workshop. We are thinking about developing curriculum around these things, and health and wellness, and really looking to the core of the spirit of our people inside, and able to help heal our people through medicines, through wellness, through physical activity, things like that. So there's so many dimensions of things that we're reclaiming as people. So what we want to extend to you all is an invitation to join us here on Turtle Island at some point, and we can communicate about this in the future. But just know that we are your relatives and we're here. And we would like to make that connection and exchange technologies, exchange teachings, exchange stories and songs, and even just contemporary stories. So that cultural exchange that's open. And at some point I would love to join you in Ireland as well. I actually have a great my great-grandfather his name was Ben Davis, and he was a full-blooded Ojibwe man who spoke Ojibwe. Or no, he was a full-blooded Irishman from Ireland, and he spoke Ojibwe. He was a fur trader. So I have roots in Ireland myself. But I just wanted to make this connection. I know this video is very it's supposed to be short. You kind of asked the wrong person when you asked for a short video. But my favorite medicine of choice is humor. So feel free to roast me if you want to, or just tease me, because I know that's one of the cultural things that we got in common, because every Irish person I've met teases the hell out of me. So, but I'm very excited. I hope you are able to make connections at this conference, and you're able to raise the consciousness of our the planet and our people, so that we can move towards a very healthy way of life. So that's it for now. Miigwech Bisindawien. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to meeting you all. Gigawabamin, and that means that it is definite that I will see you again, whether it be in this lifetime or the next lifetime, or even in the spirit world, or even in dreamland. Who knows? Gigawabamin, Miigwech Bisindawien.